Go live on custom live streaming any moment now. Yes. Here we go. Right. Okay. Let me just wait till I see it on my screen over here. Here we go. Here we are. Here we are. Right. 3, 2, 1. Hi there, everybody. This is John Drew here from Elevated Planet.
Angela Gabrielle here from Elevated Planet, and we'd like to welcome you to today's show where we have a lot in store for you. And John is going to tell us more about it.
Yes, thank you very much, Joe Lay, and a quick thanks to Donna for being here early, bright and early. And we always value having you on with us, Donna. So, one of the things, so this is going to be a very interesting show. We're opening minds to a level of subterfuge, if you like, that is rarely being glimpsed. Certainly, from a mainstream perspective, it would be very difficult to grasp this. But actually, what it comes down to, it's, okay, yeah, have we been lied to by the media? Well, that's pretty much a given, isn't it? But we're kind of uncovering a lot of things here today that really are so empowering when it comes down to it. And that's what this is really all about. It's actually getting to a point where we are starting to see what this is really about and what we can do about it. Because one of the things that we did this last week was our first live stream PAM guided meditation, which we did on Thursday, starting at 10 till 7 in the UK. And it was great because it's nice to be able to pull people together from around different parts of the world. We had representation from Argentina, from America, from the UK. I don't know whether it was Europe as well, because we don't have a roll call as such. But and it was a relatively modest. It was like 11 of us, 11 of us. But when you think about 11 people and that value is squared, it's 121. So it's the value of having 121 people with that positive frequency, throwing it out there into the quantum field. And you can imagine as we keep this going, because we're going to do the same thing again this Thursday, and it could be other days we can do in addition. And obviously, we have the ability to do this any single day we want because we already have on Elevated Planet channel the guided meditations there. And you don't even need those because, as Pam will tell you, she gives her instructions on how to, or her suggestions on how to approach it. And that provides a degree of commonality. It's just that the guided meditations give you that extra framework around which to base it. But either way, it works. And this is where people have been getting spectacular results. We are, raising the frequency in the quantum field. So as you will discover again today, that this is getting ever more important. And the other thing I wanted to say was that the two videos that we are featuring today are well worth watching in their totality because we're just extracting a relatively short section from each to cover it, to discuss it, to open it up to the audience. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide the links to those videos actually in the descriptions down here as well. So by all means that, once you go through our program, you might want to just click on those and see them in their totality because it goes deeper and if we had a 3 hour program, we could watch it all and comment on it throughout, but we have to limit ourselves to some degree. So, yeah, that's basically what we're going to be focusing upon. And it's really all about the recent attacks in Iran, where America sent in the bombers, and we were given a story that it was there to stop nuclear proliferation, which seems like a very good idea, clearly, to many people. And anyway, however, however, through the gift of remote viewing and from our galactic chums, we kind of find out what the real story is. And, I think it's a fascinating uncovering and it leads us down into certain things that are normally not discussed. But I think it's well worth bringing it to the surface because, again, it just shows us the power that we have and where we are heading. So, Jolie, what would you care to add before we work our way into it?
Remember from the meditation, Pam speaks of us moving into, we're welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love. So throughout this show, we really want you to try and remember that, because we touch on things that may seem out there, but in all actuality, it's just us remembering.
Yes.
So, lock in, but just remember, we don't know everything. Let's keep our minds open.
Yes. Yeah, and that's absolutely true because the other thing that we would always say is that this is our version of reality, and it is up to each individual person to decide whether it is also their version of reality. And I would always encourage people to look at these things for themselves, to research it, to dig under the surface, because people shouldn't be taking our word for it necessarily, or even though hand on heart, this
Right.
is my truth, this is our truth, but
Yes.
it is down, and that's this is coming into your personal sovereignty, right, Jolie?
Correct. And it just is indicative of growth, letting in more information, and what works for you and resonates, keep it, and what doesn't, let it go.
Yes, 100%. Okay. So, right, shall we leap in there then?
Yes, let's get on with
Okay.
it.
Okay, everybody, here we go. Section number one coming up. We've got Elizabeth April, remote viewer extraordinaire. I love the work she does, and this is really very enlightening.
So the first thing that came through as far as what's really going on behind the scenes, and also why did Trump make that decision? Not too long ago, Trump went to Iran and some of the other sort of Middle East countries and players. And I want you to think about everything from a behind the scenes, deep state type of level. Okay, we're not talking this was a public meeting. We're not talking this was on the books. This is all really deeply behind the scenes. And it all concerns the deep state, which is essentially a shadow government organization. Okay. So Trump went to the Middle East, went to Iran specifically, and asked for something. Okay. I was not able to conclude what he asked for. And I'm not sure what it was. I don't know if it had to do with trafficking. I don't know if it had to do with extraterrestrials. I don't know if it had to do with disclosure. I don't know what it had to do with. I have no idea. I didn't even get an inkling. It was so shrouded. It was so covered up. It was so deeply embedded that I could not, no matter how much I dug, could not figure out what it was that Trump asked for. Whatever it was, he told them, if you do not comply, and I heard these words in particular, if you don't comply with what I'm asking for, I will bomb your facilities. And I heard the words, the people won't blame me. Like literally these words, they won't blame me. They won't blame me for this because it's going to be under the guise of I'm protecting the world. I'm protecting the nation. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I also saw, because there were multiple facilities that were hit, and I saw that there were a few of those facilities that were actually not nuclear facilities. There was something more going on underground. So it could have been a deep state military base. It could have been something tied with trafficking. That's just why I brought that up. But there were also it was so beyond nuclear. Like that's really what came through so clearly. It was so beyond nuclear. The other thing that came up was like Trump is complicating global agreements. So, and we're not talking like sort of United Nations global agreements. Like we're talking about like what I saw was like really, really deep historical agreements between countries, which are really just between different shadow government groups. He's sort of complicating all of that. You know, all of that has sort of been an unspoken agreement for a very long time. And it was very clear that he pissed a lot of people off, both on the front end with, I guess, citizens of the United States, but then also on the back end. with sort of these shadowy groups.
Donald Trump is the great disruptor. It is part of his soul contract, and he is very good at it. There are many things that have stood in the way of humanity's evolution for thousands of years, and I'm confident these shadow government agreements fall into that category. So we don't know what Donald demanded from the Iranians in that meeting, but given what we have learned about the deep state in recent times, we know that the reason they are able to act without ever being seen is due to the vast underground tunnel networks, underground facilities, and cities that exist below our feet. As surface dwellers, many are unaware that these even exist, and would simply scoff at the idea, as I indeed would have done myself not that many years ago. So I offer no judgment when I say that it is simply an observation of what is so. But the fantastic reality of truth here is in itself the perfect way to hide it from the many. Fact is indeed stranger than fiction. And it's not just the bad guys who live within the planet. There are many species of highly evolved beings who live there, and once our consciousness is elevated to the right level, they will be here to help us. Meanwhile, the bad guys' subsurface operations have to be neutralized, and these supposed nuclear facilities are really a front for something completely different. And that something different is the reason that these bombings took place. And be mindful that the military's ability to use ground-penetrating radar has improved massively over the last 30 years. Much of this is not public knowledge, so a variety of smokescreens are always employed, however nonsensical they may be. We have been conditioned to trust our leaders and mainstream media, but that era is rapidly coming to an end. In fact, if you want to know what it wasn't, just listen to the presidential and mainstream narratives and tell yourself, well, obviously it wasn't that then. At least you can tick one item off your list that it wasn't. This is a time to exercise discernment while remaining on your Eagles Perch, refusing to be drawn into the drama. Divine neutrality is where it's at. And Jolie, what would you care to add?
Yes, and that is why we at Elevated Planet are really big on doing heart-based work, because the heart speaks to unity and it speaks to bringing people together. It's a powerful tool of transformation as well as love and unification. And so when you think of these places and what's going on, some of us are in positions where we're in our first chakra, meaning we're surviving and we're trying to work on ourselves. So thinking about donating or flying over there and bringing things that will help, food, shelter, clothing, those things may not be in your wheelhouse or capabilities. However, sending love over there is in everyone's capability. Sending peace through the heart, seeing that portal between the mind and the heart opening so that you can expand yourself as well as sending love and transformation into your environment.
Very well said, because that is perfectly in alignment with our Pam Gregory inspired meditation, right? That's exactly where it's going, and that's the point. That is how we can all help. Entangling with the quantum field in such a positive way
There
definitely
you
helps.
go.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. That's exactly what I meant. Entangle with the quantum field, send it love so that it can, get it over there.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, Jolie. Okay, back to Elizabeth.
Actually, the first thing that I saw was that the deep state might use this as an opportunity to stage a cyber attack on the US and pose it as retaliation. Once again, this is the deep state that is using this now as an opportunity to pose an attack. Does it really matter where it's coming from? I think it does. I think it's important for us to know that there are government organizations and agencies that go beyond the fictitious borders that were created on planet Earth. So with a staged cyber attack, so they're going to say, yeah, it's a cyber attack because this is retaliation, but really this is coming from the deep state. And I saw California being a target, but also just to focus on big cities. when I was observing this talk about this potential retaliation, Iran's deep state are currently discussing with other allies about potential retaliations. The US deep state, so we're talking these shadowy governments that exist here, is pushing back and saying, whoa, 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 don't do anything yet, because we can now leverage this. And this is exactly what I wrote, because they can leverage this. They can leverage this most likely for a cyber attack and sort of get away with it. The biggest thing with the deep state and the shadow governments is, as long as there's someone that everyone can accept that is to blame, then they can get away with shit. If no one can pinpoint anyone to blame for the deep state actions, then maybe they start to question, who is this really coming from? And why is this happening? If everyone accepts that this is one country or one terrorist or one person or one, if we can pinpoint it, then people feel satisfied enough in that answer because they're accepting it and they do not dig deeper. That's been their strategy this entire time. So I went to the Galactic Federation right at the end of all of this remote viewing, and I asked, what do we really need to know? And this is what they said. Do not have fear. You are protected. Remember that there is a battle that's happening. And the battle that's happening is a battle for your energy. And wherever you put your focus is where you put your energy. And then they went on to say, which is fascinating, so there are giant portals and vortexes all around planet Earth. That can actually be proven scientifically. Essentially, energetic ley lines around the planet intersect, and when they intersect, they create this portal, this energy vortex. All right. So a lot of the energy vortexes and portals around the planet have been overtaken by a lower frequency, the dark side, the shadow government, the deep state, whatever you want to call them, the reptilians. It's been taken over. All right. And what happens is, when there's a really big event like the fires in Hawaii or the war or the bombing in Iran or the war in the Middle East, what we do is, when we focus on these really big events, we siphon our energy into the portals so that they can feed off of it. And not only do they feed off of it, but they keep us in a lower state of frequency. That is important.
It's great to have this frame of reference for a potential cyber attack, because understanding that the origins of this are highly likely to be the Cabal, who are the puppet masters who are in the process of having their strings cut, it enables us not to get drawn into the inevitable alternative version of events that will likely emanate from the politicians and the mainstream media. As ever, this would be designed to pull you into fear and anger, along with the justification for more conflict. All this is an attempt to perpetuate that cycle of division, judgment, and hatred that fuels the war, and feeds the dark agenda exactly what they are looking for. It's also interesting that the Zs, who were featured last week as channeled by Lee Harris, have said on several occasions that the different factions of these secret Cabal governments are a very long way from having a unified approach. And that is good, as it makes their clandestine operations far less effective. Over time, we will get to understand more about the Cabal, and much of it will beggar belief, particularly when it comes to the human trafficking side of things and the scale of their subterranean operations. But the good news is that the time ahead will flush out the perpetrators, and humanity gets to put all these control mechanisms far behind them and step into our power and our high-frequency world of unspeakable beauty. It is interesting what is said about the ley lines and these energy vortices they create, because I've heard on several occasions that these areas attract both the light and the dark due to the amplification factors they produce. So it all certainly makes sense. So Jolie, what would you care to add?
She touches on something that I believe to be so, and I've actually seen in my own work, and that is that we are being mined for our energy almost everywhere we go. And what's such a trip is that we blame ourselves. We turn around and think there's something wrong with us, when in all actuality, it is outside of us. our energy is being taken by these energy vampires. So first and foremost, forgive yourself and realize that you are capable of calling your energy back. And that's the beauty of working with your chakras and working with energy, is that you can ground your energy into Mother Earth and let her nurturing energy fortify you just through a visualization. And then you get your soul architecture in order, and then visualize a beautiful sun above your head. And in this sun, being a high-powered magnet with your name on it. And this sun is directly from the divine. It is new beginnings, recalibration, removal of trauma, anything that you need it to be. But what it does is it calls all of your energy back from these people, places, and things. And you see your energy coming back in as you give their energy that you may be carrying, back to them. And that's another visualization that we'll go over in the future. But for now, just call your energy back into a golden sun above your head, and then bring it down into your crown. And continue to do this every day as you ground your energy and put a golden sun above your head. Call your energy back, bring that into your energy field, and just keep filling yourself back up. And over time, you will feel better.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's great to have the tools to be able to counteract these things that are going on every day. So brilliant. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Jolie.
no problem.
Okay, so the next section we have is the Galactic Federation talking about this self-same subject. And I think this really helps to fill in more gaps as well, following very much on from where Elizabeth took us.
I am Valir, of the Pleiadian Collective. There is much fear in your collective field regarding nuclear intentions and potential conflicts, but we gently ask you to take a deeper breath and step back from the fear narrative. It's not what you think. What your media and leaders paint in dire colors is, in truth, a multi-layered unfolding designed to awaken higher consciousness. We see many of you reeling with anxiety, sensing only the shadow of what might be. Yet from our perspective, this situation is not a herald of catastrophic war, but rather a catalyst of revelation. The heart of humanity is being called to see through the illusion of division and threat. Can you feel it? Beneath the tensions is an opportunity for you, as individuals and as a collective, to choose a different vibration than fear. We surround you now with calming light, so you may hear our assurance. The trajectory of this event is not doom, but awakening. While the drama plays out on the world stage, we invite you to listen instead to the whisper of your heart, which knows the truth beyond appearances. Mainstream dispatches frame the recent aerial strike on Iran as a routine counter-proliferation mission. In the Pleiadian view, watching from behind the veils, that surface script is camouflage. Beneath it hums a multi-dimensional drama in which governments, breakaway factions, and off-planet councils all maneuver for influence over an ancient crossroads, once known as Persis. Our engineers confirm that the bombed complex sat atop a honeycomb of shafts, burrowing far deeper than any uranium centrifuge hall requires. There are bored-out chambers extending toward the Zagros fault line, a classic signature of the global subterranean network, long rumored to house clandestine programs, trafficking routes, and arcane laboratories guarded by a shadow consortium. Labeling the site weapons grade served three purposes: to justify kinetic action under your international law, to distract local officials from what those caverns really stored, and to keep mainstream media hopelessly focused on kilotons and enrichment percentages. In truth, the target was data, quantum encryption nodes, biohybrid prototypes, and ancient relics excavated from pre-deluge strata, assets the consortium could not afford to lose. In short, it was a strike on the Cabal's tunnel network and ongoing operations. You see, precision strikes that penetrate 300 meters of reinforced limestone broadcast a chilling memo to any remaining Cabal Even your deepest fortresses are vulnerable. Intercepted darknet chatter reveals scrambled evacuation orders from similar sites under the Andes, the Urals, and the Gobi, mere hours after the Persian caverns fell. Another notable point: digital wallets linked to black budget biotech also dumped millions into privacy coin ledgers. Classic panic markers, indicating that hidden operators fear asset seizure or exposure. With the tunnel nexus disabled, Tehran's clerical hierarchy finds itself cut off from a covert revenue stream it scarcely understood. Your neighboring intelligence bureaus, long compromised by consortium liaisons, are suddenly blind in parts of Kurdistan and the Gulf of Oman, clearing the galactic chessboard for sovereign negotiations, free of puppet strings. Persia's plateau is riven with ziggurat ruins and Zoroastrian fire altars, older than recorded time. In this region lie ringed chambers of orichalcum, once used for intertemporal passages. If the bombed labyrinth tapped those veins, its fall prevents the consortium from harvesting dimensional fractures for escape or leverage. So you see, beloved ones, there is much more going on here, and it has virtually nothing to do with anything nuclear.
So, everything is in divine order, because this is part of a multi-layered unfolding designed to awaken higher consciousness for the new Earth. Therefore, there is no anxiety required despite the picture painted by the leaders and the mainstream media. Valir talks about a catalyst of revelation as we see through the illusion and step into our power by listening to the whisper of our heart. And this allows us to step deeper into the heart-based unity consciousness, which is our destiny in this new 13,000-year cycle into which we are transitioning right now. This honeycomb of shafts with its bored-out chambers extending towards the Zagros fault line is described by Valir as a classic signature of the global subterranean network used for the Cabal's clandestine programs, and undoubtedly very much driven by the influence of the Draco constellation reptilians who came to the planet 5,700 years ago and have no regard for humanity as a species. Hence the trafficking and cruel hybridization programs in their underground laboratories, amongst many other similarly dark agendas. Certain sections of our governments, agencies, and military are very aware of their existence, and many humans have been part of this dark consortium too, and have held senior positions in government, the military, media, law enforcement agencies, corporations, healthcare, some very high-profile celebrities, and organized religion. Through this network, the Cabal have been able to control the way we think in order to manipulate us and feed off our energy. But their world of deceit is collapsing around them, and they are being forced into the light. As Elizabeth April was able to see through her remote viewing, this attack on the Iranian facilities was in reality an attack on the consortium's tunnel network and ongoing operations. And the panic measures detected immediately after the strike suggest that the objective was achieved. The Cabal's infrastructure has been blinded, meaning that future negotiations could continue free of puppet strings. Clearly, this attack is more of a beginning than an end to this matter, so we can expect further escalations, but we have the understanding that this is necessary to purge ourselves of the old, darker energies that have enslaved humanity for thousands of years. And Jolie, what would you care to add?
Wow, you hear all of that. It sounds so daunting, doesn't it? It sounds like walls are falling down and just things that are hard to kind of comprehend and visualize. However, I always want to bring it back to us and what we can do on an individual level, which then reverberates outward. And in this case, once again, I want us to buckle down and know where our energy ends and begins and another person's energy or institution's energy ends and begins. Really continuing to ask ourselves questions. Is this my thought? Is this what I truly believe? Does this resonate with me? Does this make me feel good? Or is this something I should let go of in order for this new earth and this unspeakable beauty to be able to unfold? So when we hear these news reports and the Galactic Federation tell us these things that are happening, or that have happened, and they seem quite scary or I don't just bothersome. Remember that the moment that you go into fear, there's another choice there. Use your tools, move into love, move into expansiveness. That way, that energy reverberates out, and hopefully, we can transmute to another timeline.
All sounds good to me, Jolie. Thank you very much. Okay, so back to the Galactic Federation again.
We have walked with humanity through many such moments, and we remind you now of a simple truth. The external chaos is often a reflection of internal transformation. The situation in Iran is a focal point for collective fears, fears of destruction, of betrayal, of the unknown. These fears are not to be judged or suppressed, but understood and healed. Look beyond the surface of political posturing, and you will perceive an energetic pattern. Old wounds of mistrust among nations are rising to be cleared. In the higher design of things, this region, rich with ancient spiritual heritage beneath the turmoil, has chosen to play a role in humanity's awakening at this time. The very phrase, nuclear situation, triggers memories in your collective psyche, memories of past destructive potentials, but also resolves from your soul's vows to never let such devastation occur again. Deep within, many of you carry the light of remembrance that humanity must unite rather than annihilate. Thus, what appears as a conflict fueled by nuclear tension is, on another level, a global heart test. Will you react in fear and aggression, or respond with wisdom and compassion? We already see so many of you choosing the latter, even if your news does not report it. Take heart in knowing that the majority timeline of Earth is guided by those choosing peace over war, understanding over hate. The Persian strike is less an endpoint than a flare on the horizon, signaling that hidden tyrannies are crumbling and that cosmic custodianship is real. Rather than fixate on explosions, turn inward to the still point where source consciousness whispers strategy for your unique node in the planetary lattice. From that sanctuary, radiate clarity. Events will continue to swirl, yet the outcome, an emancipated civilization aligned with the larger galactic family, is already encoded in the quantum heart of humanity. My friends, once again we will declare with certainty for you, there will never be a nuclear war on Earth. Your species passed a turning point in the late 1980s of your time. There are unseen hands and higher forces preventing any large-scale nuclear calamity on your Earth. We say this plainly to alleviate your deepest fears. More than once in your modern era, at moments when the shadow of nuclear war loomed, we and other benevolent star families intervened subtly, deactivating devices, diffusing hostilities, influencing minds toward peaceful resolutions. This is not interference in your free will, but rather a safeguarding of a collective choice you have already made at the soul level. The choice that you will not destroy yourselves, nor your planet. The Iran nuclear drama is another instance testing that collective resolve. Be aware, much of the fear being sown is a deliberate illusion by those among your world's power structures, who benefit from keeping populations in anxiety and mistrust. Behind closed doors, the leaders and influencers playing up this threat understand far more than they reveal. Some do so out of habit of control, others out of their own soul contracts to spur awakening through contrast. From our view, none of these dark ploys can succeed in the long run, because humanity's consciousness has tipped toward the light. The old game of fear is crumbling, so we urge you, dear ones, do not feed the energies of panic or hatred that certain narratives crave. When you hear news that makes your heart clench, pause and breathe. Recognize it as a provocation to either react in fear or respond in love. In that moment of pause, you reclaim your power and deny those who thrive on fear their food, as it were. Remember, You are sovereign beings. No outside agenda can control a populace that has awakened to its inner light.
Beautiful. And we're back. So I find this really fascinating. It's, for a start, the nuclear thing. This idea that we have no threat of nuclear attacks at any stage. I completely get that, because everything that he said there about decommissioning and deactivation makes total sense. I mean, going back to 1958, it was during the space race between America and Russia had taken an upper hand. And there was this Project A119 that took place. I've mentioned it a couple of times before in the past, but the idea was to basically detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon. And it was part of this way of showing that America had the upper hand. And the official line on this, because it was kept secret for 45 years, but there were some people who came out on this one at some stage, and so they had to kind of like bring it out into the open. Yeah, so I think it was around 2000, something like that. They actually spoke about this, but they said that they actually changed their mind and decided not to do it. Whereas people who were actually on the project said that the rocket was fired at the moon with the nuclear warhead, and they knew it had been deactivated by extraterrestrials on the way there. And I'm really not surprised about that, because I know that on the moon there are many bases. There are, I know this sounds crazy, you know, humanity has a base on the moon. These are this, you know, there's not, there's Mars as well. There's the moon. There's secret space program that's been in place for many years. So many things that we're not clued in on, right? That this does not come out. But I remember when I went to the Greg Braden event last year, and he was showing pictures of structures that had been identified on the moon that were thought to be 50,000 years old. And there were accidental pieces where the footage of the astronauts on the moon picked up the edge of these things. And you could see, because it was an absolutely square building. And it was not supposed to happen, but it was just scanned round, the camera scanned round too far. And at the same time, there was one of the astronauts, I can't remember which one it was now, might have been Buzz Aldrin, but talking excitedly about what he was seeing. And they were saying, no, stick to the script, stick to the script. Don't talk about what you're seeing. So anyway, that was the idea that was one that was deactivated on its way to the moon. Then I think about dear old Derek Savory, who I did an interview with a couple of years ago. He was one of the experiencers at Rendlesham Forest in 1980, December 1980, when there was a massive amount of activity with spaceships being seen, basically all in that area, because there were there was a US Air Force base and an RAF base, a British Air Force base, both there in that immediate vicinity. And what happened is that one of these craft, and again, one of the people who's spoken about this at length is a gentleman called Colonel Holt, who was one of the most senior commanders at the base on the American side. And it was saying that as this craft went over the top of all the nuclear silos, which housed nuclear weapons, which they were not supposed to be there because they denied that they existed, but each one it went over the top of, it deactivated as it went, just to say, we have the power to decommission and deactivate. And so that's what's been going on. And there's been numerous examples of this sort of thing. So I think personally, hand on heart, it will be impossible for it to happen, because the Galactics have got this thing down. They know what they're doing. And we would have probably destroyed ourselves several times over already had it not been for their intervention. The Bay of Pigs, Castro was another one, which which was decommissioned deactivated because he did actually press the button. He did actually press the button to attack America. And that came through in the 1990s when the vice president of America visited Castro for the first time and asked that question. Under any circumstances, had the blockade been beaten, because they had a blockade trying to stop the missiles from getting through to Cuba in the first place, but apparently the blockade hadn't worked. The missiles had reached Cuba, and this is what Castro said. And he said he did press the button, but it didn't work. Anyway, so that just underlines what Valir was talking about. A couple of things. Another thing that was mentioned was some politicians are spurring awakening of people through contrast. And I think that is Donald Trump. So we know that he has this soul agreement, this soul contract coming here to be a disruptor, to not be afraid to break rules, to not be afraid to sort of do things differently. And he's a difficult person to warm to, put it that way, whichever way you look at it. But nevertheless, sometimes things do need to be blown apart. Things do need to happen. And it would be difficult to imagine anybody else in that presidential position who would be prepared to do what he has done, particularly when you given that this attack that took place in Iran may not have been for the reason that was given, but necessary nonetheless, and actually even more necessary because of what we're uncovering here. So, I like this. This was said, no outside agenda can control a populace that has awakened to its inner light. And that's what we're doing. Every day that goes by, more and more people are starting to awaken, starting to remember the power of who we really are, because we really truly have the power. So we do not feed the dark agenda with fear and panic. Pause and breathe and reclaim your power, is what Valir said. And I think that just makes so much sense. And again, it aligns totally with what Pam Gregory has said and what we say when we put out those meditations as well, is to say that don't focus on the problems that people are having. Focus on what we want them to experience. We want them to experience love, joy, gratitude, peace, all these kind of things so when we focus our energies on that, that's what we're sending them. So we don't send them, the thoughts about what they're going through. We send them what we want them to have. So, other than that, I also wanted to mention a little bit about, these underground tunnels and chambers and all this kind of thing. This is something that, again, we've spoken about a lot over the last, I don't know now, maybe 7 or 8 months, and referenced this book numerous times, Transylvania Sunrise, which is where the underground chamber was discovered in the Busiji Mountains. You just see the picture of the Busiji Mountains there, near the Romanian Sphinx, as it is called. And they had to bury down through the rock itself, because there was no entrance to this chamber they discovered through these underground penetrating radars that the US had at the time. So they could see there was something there. So they managed to get in there. And when they did manage to get in there, they discovered 3 tunnels. One tunnel went down into the center of the earth, right? One tunnel came up in the Giza Plateau, and actually another also onto Baghdad. That's right. Yeah, Baghdad. Another one comes up in Tibet. Now, this is crazy, right? But you can actually traverse these things through portals. So when you're going through these, it's not like you've got to walk 1,000 miles. You actually only have to walk the equivalent of 100 yards once you go through these portals. It's way more complicated than that, but you get the idea. So this actually gives you a real clue about the underground chambers. Now, oh yeah, and that was the other thing as well. A lot of these chambers are actually they're basically just coated in gold, completely coated in gold. Certain parts of this, it's amazing. And one of the things that Valir mentioned was that ringed chambers of orichalcum have been discovered over there in Persia, in Iran. Now, and that got me thinking, well, what is orichalcum? Now, orichalcum is the substance that was known in the times of Atlantis as the substance that was only second to gold. It was like a bronze gold kind of version. And I found that very interesting that these chambers are ringed with that when other ones are ringed with gold, because they'll carry very similar properties. And a lot of the time it is used because it accentuates the energies. Okay, so the other book that I'd read, which same author, Radu Sinamart, was about the tunnel that went to Baghdad, and basically what they discovered, the high technology they've discovered over there, including these holographic projectors, which show history as it really is, not as mankind has been taught. Forget everything you've ever been taught in school, because it's actually BS. It actually tells you what people want us to, and it's, it's not the fault of the teachers. Basically, they're only teaching what they've been told to teach. But the fact is, this is how they have shaped human society and kept us enslaved for so long, because our version of history is wrong. And if once we get to uncover that, and I think that's part of the things that unfold over the next few months and years, is our true history. And that's what comes to the surface. The final book I'm going to reference here is this one here, which tells us about the reptilians. Okay, now I did make an error when I was kind of doing one of those earlier sections. I said that the reptilians had been around for 5,700 years. Now that's a specific part of the reptilian species, was 5,700 years. But the reality is there's various species and subspecies, and certainly they've been permanently on Earth for 15,000 years, and sporadically going back much longer than that, over millions of years. And basically, this is where we have the challenge, because these reptilian species, they feed off etheric substances, which could be the fear. It could be like all the fear, the anger, the grief, everything that gets funneled down these vortices. And basically that acts as food for them. But not only that, but they also feed off flesh and blood. And there are many things I'm not going to tell you about this because it is just too disturbing, truth be told. But we have the power to overcome them. This is now coming to the surface. This is being flushed to the surface. And another interesting thing that talks about the species as well is that one of the things they can do, shape shifting is one of the things that they do. So they basically occupy humans with their consent. They occupy them. That's why, say, a number of A-list celebrities actually have reptilian kind of entities within them, to do what they do. And more of that will come to the surface, undoubtedly. We're seeing a lot of stuff with P. Diddy. Where does all that stuff come from that's happening with P. Diddy? This is the kind of thing. This is the kind of thing we're talking about. And apparently, the cloaking, they can have cloaking for high-ranking members of the reptilians, which means obviously that they're able to hide themselves. To have that power, a reptilian must be first accepted in an elite group that infiltrates and has co-founded the Illuminati. So they mentioned the Illuminati, and I know that Illuminati is also linked to the Freemasons at the highest level, because you have to acknowledge that actually at the lower levels of the Illuminati, at the lower levels of the Freemasons, there's people out there doing work for charities and various other things who have no idea about what goes on at the higher levels. But this is where, the chiefs of police, the high-ranking politicians, the heads of corporates, and all the rest of them, they come from this. And this is how, again, we've been manipulated. And this is how all the money, this is how they keep us in lack. All the money gets siphoned out so that it keeps many people in lack, many people in poverty, many people with shortages. And that in itself creates fear. So it's a big story. But I also know here that we Earth people, the humanity, Terrans, as we're called here, Terrans possess inborn fighter nature. And basically, this is something greatly feared by the reptilians. We have the power, right? And if you think about it, they're fourth dimensional beings. We are heading to the fifth dimension. They cannot exist, and they're already being exited from the planet. But I think that what's going on here with this bombing in Iran is still very much based around that as well. So I've said a lot, and a lot that is quite fantastical. And again, I leave it up to the individuals. But if you want to explore this book as well, this is a book by Elena Danan, and she has an extraordinary story. And it's amazing. It is incredible. But absolutely, will it stretch your boundaries of reality? Quite likely, quite likely. But Jolie, can I bring you back in, please?
Absolutely. Let's keep the fantastical going because I really love the fact that we're delving into this because if it wasn't for this type of information, I would not be here on the light side because my journey began because I just felt like, what is wrong with me? Like, you know what I mean? I was watching everything and everyone else, and I just felt so out of touch, like I didn't belong here in this world. And I felt like something is definitely wrong with me because I don't like any of this. And I was working at a brokerage firm at the time. And the energy was just so like the only way for me to describe it is like a low hum of negativity and it just being super cold
Mm.
all the time and just a low hum. You could just feel it, this low grade anxiety constantly pumping through the building. And I just was like, no, it's me. There's something wrong with me. So to condense the story, I began to do research into Illuminati families, and I began to look into um, the MK Ultra, the governmental programs, and I started down this path. And I know I've talked about this before, and I'll keep it brief, but that is lovely. They love for you to know what they're doing. Once you realize what they're doing and they've exposed themselves, they have even more of your energy that they can now take. Because in some certain lores, they got to tell you what they're going to do to you before they do it because they need for you to consent. So if you're giving your energy to this, that's fantastic. I want to tell you how, because the research is necessary. Put roses in front of you. Visualize roses in front of your aura layer, in front of your chakras. This is a way that they cannot siphon your energy from you. So once you ground your energy into Mother Earth, and you pull your aura in and you call your higher, you get your architecture locked in. You surround your energy with roses because they know that this is the ancient symbol for transmuting negative energy into positive energy. And it's also protection because you think about a rose, it has thorns. So you have to come at it a certain way, you have to touch it a certain way, but they're also very respectful. Not a lot of people mess around with roses, right? So there's these principles of energy that translate, that are quantum. And so when you're looking at these sort of symbols and you're studying them, make sure that you do what you've got to do to protect your energy. So I also want to talk about a few things that you mentioned, John. I actually took notes on the moon, like the mysteriousness of that. We know that we talk about how the moon controls the tides, the circadian rhythms of our body, especially for the feminine energy, the menses and all that. Nevertheless, this gentleman by the name of Pro 777, he has done research by having this high-powered camera pointed at the moon 24/7. And he's discovered some things that make it look like there's some serious shenanigans happening with that moon. And so I would suggest people look into Crow 777 and his work around the moon. And also one of the people that really sparked me into looking into this information that led me over to the light was, his name is Greg Carlwood, and he has this podcast known as the Higher Side Chats. And so it's a mix of healing energy, quantum energy, along with talking about the deep state. Because to be honest with you, I don't really know what that is. They want to say it's this or that, but all I know is that there are Italian castles and committees of 300s where these people are dictating what is going on in the world. And if we want to talk about connections to aliens and the draconians and the maybe the Anunnaki, we have these families whose bloodlines have come through. There's 12-strand DNA. All of this stuff fascinating, right? You can go down this rabbit hole. However, that is feeding, again, the energy. So it's really great to look at it. We can talk about how people believe that the Van Allen belt is there. How do we get through that? Have we gone to the moon? Capricorn 1, can we explain what's going on in Laurel Canyon, where Hollywood and the government are working together in tandem with the military to have mind control in our films. I mean, this, we could go on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, at the end of the day, there's nature. There is your connection to your higher self. There's the beauty of mankind, and there's love. And this is where we want to sit, because all of that exists over there. So let's work to transmute that or change that timeline by first fortifying our own energy and looking at that, in small chunks and just being aware, like, oh my goodness, because we talk about that Diddy information and what's going on. But if you look at the childhood that he had and you come through the people that came in and out of his lives, and now we have a deeper story to tell than just that avatar of a hip hop mogul. So I just want to again remind us, let's do our work, ground our energy, meditate, fill up with lots of gold, and stay spiritually hydrated in these times.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is brilliant because this is what it's about. It's about empowering us because knowledge is power. And it's not about going into fear. And as you say, what we do is like you give us the tools, right? We're calling our energy back. We're sending their energy back to them. We are able to surround ourselves with I love that.
Yeah.
Again, it makes sense. I know it works. And, as we build that into a practice, we become our own personal fortress for the light, right? We can then come together. We can do our Pam Gregory thing where we're all feeding
Yes.
into the quantum field. And once we start this elevation process, remembering that everything squares. So, okay, we had 11 people the other day, which is a value of 121. As
Yes.
that grows, imagine once we got to 100, that's the value of 10,000. And of course, Pam's got people all around the world who are doing this at the same time. So what I would say is just basically for anybody who sees this video or who is here now, tell your friends. Anybody who you know who likes to meditate, anybody you know who really has spiritual curiosity, get them having a look at this. See if it's for them. Just the Pam guided meditation, whether they do it through Elevated Planet, whether they just do it the Pam way, which is just basically tune in and do it freestyle. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, we love having people on our community in amongst our community to do this with us, but it doesn't matter. The mere fact that putting the time aside and putting your energy into the quantum field with love, peace, harmony, all that kind of beautiful, good stuff, and gratitude. And I got to say, when I did it on Thursday, I was buzzing. At the end of it, I was just buzzing. I was so happy.
Yeah, it created a lot of positive energy. And those are the vortexes. She spoke something that I found really fascinating, right, about the portals and how when we're paying attention to this negative energy, right, it's like, or having these events happen, it's siphoning our energy into these portals. Well, we need to call our energy back and close up these draconian or whatever kind of portals they are, because we have the power to do that. And as humans, we have to understand this is our domain.
Yeah.
We have the power to transmute, transform, and decide what we will and will not deal with here. Now, because the powers that be, whatever they are, deep state, I don't even know what that is, have made contracts and vows and agreements, that doesn't mean we have to do that. And we need to pull back our consent, pull back our power, and really sit and ground in what is reality, which is Mother Earth and the fact that quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and energy is real. So you need to get our thoughts in order as well. And no need, but we benefit by getting our thoughts in order as well. Like I sometimes get into the vortex of death and destruction, and I have to kind of come over and be like, you know what? I give life, I give love, I see life, I see love, whatever works for you. But definitely really work hard to transmute that or transform those negative thoughts you have, because something is definitely keeping you from praying and meditating.
Yeah.
Know that.
Yeah.
So it's important that you sort of know that, realize that, and fight against it by what? Creating a routine, organizing your spiritual development the way you would get up and go to a job and give your energy to them, for them to sit on the Riviera while you're crunching numbers on their behalf and giving them all your. Let's stop that. Let's stop. Let's call it back And let's learn how to do that on a regular basis so that wellness comes back, abundance comes back, and we finally can figure out who we are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's the thing. And, we don't need to beat ourselves up too much when we find these things, because we do have to,
Yes.
to quote God from Conversations with God, we're perfectly imperfect, right? We're designed with, that we come here with challenges. So these things are worth building into a practice, because as we build it into a practice and it becomes part of our life, our frequency is going up, and not just our frequency, but we are adding that to the quantum wave structure, and we are starving the reptilians and all these that feed off our energy. We're starving them out of existence, and that's the way we're going to do it. So, Jolie, what do you think? Is it time?
Yes, it's time to move on.
Time to dive into the guided meditation, and Jolie is going to do that for us, but we're going to have a couple of minutes first off from Valir, the Pleiadian, to lead us into that. And they're beautiful words, and I know that Jolie is just guiding us perfectly in the right direction.
Yes, and it's an honor. So let's go.
So let's do it. Hold on, everybody.
Many of you have asked, either consciously or in the depths of your spirit, what is the truth behind this situation? What is it that we are not seeing? We will share with you an angle that might surprise you. The Iran nuclear situation is catalyzing a quiet but important unity among ordinary people across rival countries. Yes, on the surface, governments trade threats and sanctions, but beneath that, the hearts of the common people are yearning for peace. Energetically, this desire for peace creates bridges of light between communities that historically saw each other as enemies. We witness from our vantage countless individuals, mothers, fathers, children, students, elders, sending out prayers and intentions that no war comes, that understanding prevails. Each prayer, each heartfelt desire for the safety of loved ones on all sides of the supposed divide is like a beam of light joining this network. This is the untold story. Human hearts globally are uniting in the face of a possible conflict, saying, no, we do not choose hatred. We choose to see each other's humanity. Such grassroots unity and consciousness is exactly what erodes the foundations of any potential war. Those who beat the drums of conflict find their efforts hollow when soldiers question the narrative, when citizens refuse to hate strangers, when empathetic connection outshines propaganda. This is happening now, quietly but powerfully. We see it, and we ask you to trust this movement of spirit. The more you focus on this emerging collective goodwill, the stronger it becomes. In this way, you are actively creating the outcome where this situation resolves into greater understanding instead of violence.
Take a deep breath in. Pause, hold it for a moment, and exhale. Take another deep breath in, and this time just feel so much overwhelming gratitude for being here on Earth, for this experience and this opportunity to be in a physical body and experience all the beauty and the joy that Mother Earth has. Inhale in gratitude and gently exhale out any negativity. Bring your awareness to the center of your chest and catch the rhythm of your body and how it breathes. And sync up your heartbeat with your breath, in sync and in rhythm, to create relaxation and safety within your body. As you breathe in through your nose and gently out through your mouth, you let your body know it is safe to be me. As you then visualize a beautiful grounding cord of a natural earth element attached to your first chakra. And this grounding cord is going to move through Mother Earth in a very gentle, loving way. As she opens and allows for your energy to move through her layers, and your grounding cord roots itself into Mother Earth. And she is so welcoming. She has so many gifts for you. So in your mind, silently, thank Mother Earth so much for feeding you, clothing you, sheltering you, protecting you, and loving you. And then you'll see these beautiful, visualize these beautiful golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles blanketing the inside and the outside of your grounding cord. And you just let these golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles scrub off anything that no longer serves you, anything you are ready to let go of and release, and especially from the past. Because they're working to bring our grounding cords into the present moment, which is the point of power. So while those scrubbing bubbles clean off your grounding cord, you bring your awareness back to your heart. You take a deep breath in and exhale. And call your higher self back above you, standing at the power position. Pull your aura in. It is commanded. My aura be 1.5 feet around me, and my astral body snapped in to my physical body. And now my soul architecture is locked in. Your soul architecture is there to support you. So as you breathe with the rhythm of your body, visualize the bottoms of your feet opening like the lens of a camera, and call in 15% earth energy of a color that resonates with you. Let this essence pool into the bottoms of your feet. And when those feet get filled up, that beautiful earth energy and that vibrant color of your choice begins to travel up the side channels of your legs. And while this is happening, your crown knows to open like the lens of a camera. Visualize it, feel it, or hear it. And that golden, cosmic, divine life force energy comes cascading down from the heavens, raining down on your higher self, moving through that aura layer, focusing itself down through the crown, filling up the brain, decalcifying the pineal, moving out the worry, doubt, and the fear in the prefrontal cortex, pumping up that focus, concentration, organization, as we move down into the limbic system, this essence, moving out any animalistic and primal desires, opening up the pathways of the memories of your greatness, of your excellence, of your otherworldliness. As that essence then begins to travel down that spine, lighting up each vertebra on its way down, fortifying the love that you have in your heart, removing and resolving any disease and illness as it begins to mix in with that earth energy in the first chakra. And this mixture then begins to just mix in and fill you up like water fills up a cup. And you want to feel this essence swishing and pumping throughout your body, cleaning out your cells, your ligaments, your muscles, your systems in your body. As it moves up your ankles and your shins, it's moving out inflammation, moving out any parasites, heavy metals, as it moves up your thighs into your reproductive organs, your colon and your stomach, cleaning out anything that no longer serves you, any childhood trauma, any memories, any past experiences you're holding on to, as it just begins to move into that chest, superpowering that love, blowing open the doors of your heart, as it sends out love throughout your aura layer and into your environment. Moving up as this essence bifurcates and separates down into your fingertips, moving up your arms, moving out any tennis elbow, any joint pain, moving up to those shoulders, warming them up as that essence moves back up through the neck and into the face and bones and structures, bringing in collagen that you need as this essence then sprouts out the side channel, filling up your aura layer. So as you bring your awareness back to your heart and to your breath, feeling the safety and security in your body, filled with gratitude, I want you to now open up that portal from your heart into the center of your head, that beautiful golden portal. As this energy and this earth energy swirls all around you, your aura layer cleaning out anything you're ready to let go of and release, moving in all of the limitlessness and the memories of your past greatness. Move your awareness up into the center of your head. And I want you to visualize 5 feet, energetic 5 feet outside your aura layer, a beautiful golden rose to the right and to the left of you. You can make it gold or silver or white or any color that represents spiritual transformation to you. And this rose and these roses represent transmutation. And they're going to take all of the people, the places, and the institutions that have taken your energy, and they're going to transmute it. So visualize those roses to the right and to the left of your aura layer, energetically 5 feet away from you. And once you have these roses in their place, and they're your spiritual energetic trash bags, you're going to visualize a beautiful golden sun of unconditional love above your higher self. And inside that beautiful cascading golden cosmic life force energy. And this beautiful loving sun of gold above your head has your name on it in a high-powered magnet. And as you put these people, places, institutions, and things, contracts, vows your ancestors may have made, into those roses outside your aura layer, simultaneously, your energy will be called back into that golden sun above your head. So now, go ahead and open your brow chakra like the lens of a camera. Visualize it opening And now you're going to clean out the center of your head by moving all of the people, the places, and the things, your negative thoughts, your limiting beliefs. You're going to clean out the center of your head. Even if you don't know what it is, it doesn't matter. The only thing that should be left in the center of your head is you and a comfortable place to sit. So take your time. The center of your head, if you were to draw a line above each ear, a little dot above each ear, and have that line meet, and from your brow to the back of your head a dot, and draw a line having those meet, where those two lines intersect is the location of the center of your head. Clean it out. Call all your energy back, especially from those portals. And when you call all your energy back from those portals, see it close. Close it, cork it, put a metal top over it. And call your energy back into that golden sun above your head. And keep filling up those roses with all of the people, the places, the things, the ancestral contracts, the faulty DNA. And when your roses get full, give them an energetic push 10 feet away from you, blow them up, see them turn into beautiful fireworks, which represents transmuting into positive, creative life force energy for anyone to use. And another rose takes its place to continue taking in all of the energy of others so that you can give it back to them. As you breathe with the rhythm of your body, stay focused on giving them their energy back. Blow up the rose. It gives them their energy back. It doesn't hurt. And it transmutes that negative energy into positive, creative life force energy for anyone to use. Call all your energy back and see that beautiful golden sun grow. Grow and fill with all of your energy from birth until now. Any place you may have left it, any experience that has left you rattled, give it its energy back. Call all of your energy back into that golden sun above your head. As you breathe with the rhythm of your body. a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment. Gently exhale through your mouth. And those roses outside your aura, it's time to give them a push, blow them up, giving all of the people and places and things their energy back, and seeing the negative energy transmute itself into positive creative life force energy for anyone to use. And when you're ready, I want you to see that beautiful golden sun come down through your higher self and your aura layer, and just focusing it into your crown as it just melts and cascades down, mixing in with that cosmic energy and that earth energy, filling you up with your authenticity, your self-love, aligning you with your purpose, giving you back all of you, making you whole and resonate with earth and the divine. Allow for this energy to mix in and expand out into your aura layer as you breathe with the rhythm of your body and know that you've been restored. And now, I want you to visualize roses surrounding your entire aura layer. Beautiful roses, keeping your energy, allowing you to keep and hold your energy within your own energy field. And also see some of that golden essence travel down the grounding cord, chasing away all of those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles into the center of Mother Earth, turning it into positive creative life force energy for anyone to use, bringing your grounding cord into the present moment. And now it is clean, clear, and filled with gold light. This essence is expanded out into your aura layer, encompassing your higher self and guiding your astral body. So now I want you to take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, exhale as you close the bottoms of your feet like the lens of a camera, and you see that earth energy of a color that resonated with you recede back down into Mother Earth. And you say, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. You take another deep breath in, breathing in so much gratitude and unconditional love, and breathing out any fear and self-doubt as you close those double doors of your heart and you close those hand chakras like the lens of a camera, and you allow for all of that love to settle in. You take another deep breath in, and as you gently exhale, you're going to close your brow chakra and your crown like the lens of a camera and see that heavenly cosmic golden energy ascend back up into the heavens. And now we're going to take another deep breath in. Hold it for just a moment. Gently exhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Beautiful. Okay, let's get back in the room. Yay. Yeah, thank you, Jolie.
Absolutely.
And I do think this is I just feel like there's this two-pronged approach now. It is about protecting our energy field. It is about drawing back our energy pulling back our energy and sending the energy that doesn't belong to us back to where it does belong, and then going into the quantum field then to send out the love and everything, because that's what's going to elevate consciousness. That's
Yes,
just
exactly. And just one little detail. You drain the negative. Maybe our entanglements and our experiences with people have been negative. And some of us may be, I'm going to give you your energy back. I'm going to do to you what you did. No, 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 no. We're going to drain that out. And we're going to give them back their energy and their authenticity and all of that we may still be holding on to. So it's really a purity sort of thing, where it brings in more neutrality.
yeah,
That's how we get neutral.
yeah. Divine neutrality. That's what we need. That's what we need. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jolie. And interestingly enough, Ronnie made a note as well here. She said, just wants to comment on placing the roses around your energetic field. That actually works. Jolie helped me with this some years ago, and this protection ritual has helped me in some tricky situations.
Thank you, Ronnie. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And Donna said, truly beautiful indeed. Thank you, Jolie. And we had
Thank you.
Denise. Denise is with us as well. Yay, Denise.
Yeah, Denise, yeah.
So anyway, okay, wrap up time. So newsletter goes out tomorrow. Anybody who wants to be part of this, because again, this is just the community we're going to grow now. It's just going to keep growing and growing, and we're going to keep getting out there in the quantum field, and we are going to accelerate that new Earth energy, magnetize that new Earth towards us. So anybody who wants to be part of it, you can email me at johndrew@elevatedplanet.life, or you can contact us through our elevatedplanet.life/contact page, where you can give us any free format ideas or thoughts that you might have, as well as, becoming part of our community. So you'd be very welcome to do so. We love you to be on the journey with us. And what else have we got to remember, Jolie?
Always like, share, and subscribe. We need to get the word out there. We're building unspeakable beauty one brick at a time. So help us out.
Yes, absolutely. So that's it. Yeah, it's definitely, we need to get the word out there. We need to build this Pam Gregory thing, working with her inspiration to really start to make a difference. And we know it works. We know it works. So brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for being here. So much appreciated. And we will be back again in a week's time. And thank you, Jolie, for the beautiful meditation and all the comments.
Thank you, John.
And
All right.
yeah, okay. And we'll see you in a week's time.
Yes.
Love and light to everybody. Take care.